Nanabosho and the Cranberries. Nanabosho and the Cranberries, written by Joe and Martine McLellan, illustrated by Lloyd Swampy. Pemmican Publications. Dedication to Craig and Kevin Setti and Kea Gazan, with love, Joe. Dedicated to my cup, Martine McLellan. To my family, Winona, Jeannie, Lloyd Jr., Chelsea, Cicely, and Stephen. Lloyd. Nookmis came to my classroom today. My teacher, Mr. Shaganosh, invited her to tell a story to our class. Nookmis knows many stories about Nanabosho, who is the first teacher of the Ojibwe people. She and Nimishomis are always telling stories to my brother Billy and me. Winona, they always say, someday you will tell these stories to your grandchildren. One day, long ago, Nanabosho walked through the woods by a lake. He was very hungry. He looked everywhere for something to eat. All he could find were some cranberries growing high on a bush next to the lake. Nanabosho was so hungry that he ran right up to the bush and tried to pick the cranberries. Unfortunately, the cranberries were so high that even when he stood on his tiptoes, he could not reach them. He tried jumping to reach the cranberries. He tried shaking the cranberry bush. He tried knocking the cranberries off the bush with a big stick. Nothing worked. He just couldn't reach the cranberries. Nanabush sat down to think of a new way to get the cranberries off the bush. While he was sitting, he looked into the lake. Right below the surface of the lake, he saw a big cranberry bush with hundreds of large red cranberries. I'll get my cranberries now, he said as he cupped his hand under a large clump of cranberries on the bush in the lake. Poor Nanabosho. When he pulled his hands up out of the water, the cranberries disappeared. He tried all day long, but the cranberries disappeared every time he tried to pick them out of the lake. When night came, a strange thing happened. The bush completely disappeared. Nanabosho stared into the lake all night. He just couldn't believe that the whole bush had disappeared. Finally, the sun rose, and the bush reappeared in the lake. Nanabosho spent the rest of the morning trying to pick the cranberries off the bush in the lake. But every time he took his hands out of the water, the cranberries disappeared. Soon he reached too far for the berries and fell in. He bumped his nose at the bottom of the lake. When Nanabosho got out of the lake, he cried because his nose hurt. Hundreds of birds heard him crying and came to see what was the matter. They had a good laugh when Nanabosho told them what happened. They sat in the cranberry bush and ate all of the cranberries while they listened to him. After all the birds flew away, poor Nanabosho sat on the shore as hungry as ever, with a big, red, swollen nose. When Nokomis finished telling the story, we all wanted her to tell us more stories. "Children," she said, "I'll come back another day and tell you more stories. Right now, I think Mr. Shaganosh wants to teach you about reflection in your science class, so I will have to leave you to that." Nanabosho and the Cranberries, read by Mrs. George.